Good morning, it's Teacher Terry, and today is just a general conversation about where is online teaching going. Let's first start off with it's going to evolve. Sure it will. I kind of think that eventually it's going to be more of a virtual reality type classroom. I think that there will come a time when we're not physically seeing the students per se. We're going to have on the VR headset, virtual reality headset, and in our platform we're going to actually see the students' avatars. Now whether they're personalized or not, I don't know where you can actually see their face, but I'm pretty sure there'll be some type of avatar. And these lessons will be total immersion within the environment that we're teaching. I think that would be pretty cool. Will we get there? I think we're close. I think we're close. I was having a conversation with a real good friend of mine. Her name is Cora. She's an administration, high-level administrator with one of the companies I work with. And we were discussing things like, my video on its official China doesn't want older teachers. Now, fortunately, in her company, they diversify a lot. There's a lot of older teachers. There's lots of younger teachers. I would say the main problem with mixing the two, there are two issues. One is teaching style and experience. The other one would be the attitude. It's hard sometimes to mix the older with the younger without the younger still in that kind of rebellious stage against the older generation, because quite normally they're wanting to make their mark and prove themselves, and that's understandable. Also, the great thing about the company, which it kind of had to dawn on me a little bit today, they're bringing so many of these ideas about using media into the operation of instruction. I think the limiting factor is the time. And I've always argued this. I never have said we shouldn't use technology, as some people have misconstrued. I've always stood by the point that we have, in most of the lessons given, 30 minutes. Sometimes we have a material that may have 36 slides, so it's less than a minute per slide, and we're expected to engage each student, give each student a time to speak. Talk time on our part should be very low. It's very difficult, and most of the classes have mixed level abilities. So this is where I've always kind of drawn my personal line, and that going from here, putting a picture up, sure, it might help explain something. It also takes time. It takes a lot of time. Maybe you don't think it does, but 15 seconds times 4 is one whole minute that you just lost out of your time, plus any other technical problems that may come up. I think technology is good if it's used correctly, and I think the younger generation do understand technology better than we do. I think the big difference coming into this online right now would be the same as going into a regular classroom in the public schools, which at one time I was in this situation. I just came out of the university. I was teaching second grade. I thought I knew a lot. I actually didn't have experience except for a 6-week intern practice teaching. And I thought some of the things the older teachers did was, like, what? I didn't really think it was that cool or that correct or however you want to put it. I just didn't think it was applicable. As I went through the rest of the school year, I found out, hey, I'm doing exactly what they're doing because they knew exactly. They had the experience over time where they could do the job. They didn't need the technology. They didn't need all of the stuff that I had. They already had it down based on the way that they had been applying it throughout some of them 10, 30 years. I think this may be the issue or the largest issue with the younger generation of teachers online coming in with some of the older teachers online. I'm bringing experience from actually teaching 40 years in the classrooms, and they're coming in with, let's say, I really wouldn't know. Let's say they started at 18. Excuse me, they're 24. Let's say they bring 6 years worth of media knowledge that's way above what I have, and suddenly they're the experts of the world. You know, they're really, in some cases, they just throw it down your throat. Well, I've got all the answers. What am I? Well, what about this? And they Google it and they give you an answer. It's not their answer. It is not their experience. It may be book knowledge, but does it apply to what you're doing, or is it just something to consider without making a judgment on the way things are going? And I think that's something that happens. The older teachers that are judged are like, we're ignorant, or we don't know anything that's going on in the regular world today. Maybe part of that is true. Now remember, ignorant means you just don't know something. And I agree. There's a lot of things about this I don't understand. I have a roommate that's 24, a friend of mine's son, and he knows so much about technology, it's amazing. But he knows so much about it. He can't explain it all, but he can do it. He has the experience in using that technology. But if you took that technology away, he lacks skills, social skills, in order to apply it in real life situation without using technology. I, on the other hand, if you threw me into something that required total technology in order to perform my job, I would fail miserably because I don't have the experience with it. So it's that chase the dog thing. How do you get a job without the experience? How do you get the experience without the job? And I think this is kind of the conflicts that we have sometimes with online. And then there's this normal cycle of life. Now, I'm reaching the top of the curve where I'm going to be eventually moving out. The younger ones are going to be moving up. And when they get up to the top where I'm at, the new technology that's coming up is going to be beyond them. And they're going to go over the top. The new is going to come. So this is going to be a continual cycle of life. So where is the media going? Where is education going? There's one thing that I really was impressed about. Now, I'm a Trekkie, I'll admit it. I like Star Trek. But there's one particular episode in one of the new Star Trek where they actually become the crew. And that's when Spock was at the high school, not the Vulcan Science Academy, but the high school, and he was in a cone, and this big room was full of cones, and students were inside there, and if you looked at him, he was completely surrounded by the environment. He wasn't wearing the VR hood, he was actually standing in the center, and everything that he was learning was around him. Right there, and he could ask questions, he could stop it, he could get his answers. He was interacting with the AI program, as it were, possibly instructors. I really think that eventually online teaching will go somewhat similar to this, where we have virtual reality, we're seeing each other's avatars, and we're applying our lessons in real life situations. I think that would be cool. And I would like to live long enough to actually experience that. I think we're very close to that. I really do. We already have virtual reality games. We already have interactive VR programs. It's just a couple of little steps further, and we're going to have virtual reality classrooms if the technology doesn't cost more than what the students can bear. So we have to ask ourselves, what area are we comfortable in? Now, this gets to the conversation that I've been having with two companies. Now, my good friend Cora, she and I, we've disagreed and agreed, and I don't know why she's kept me. Sometimes she's one of my boss's higher boss, and we've disagreed on so many things we've had, but we're good friends. I feel like we are. I respect her a lot. And then there's another girl named Alice from another company. She's one of the administrators. And I would like to say those are the main two that give me the most feedback. Now there's two more I'll mention right now. One is Joe, a friend of Cora's, works a co-worker with Cora, who's always been supportive. And then there's Frankie, and I think, they're looking for new ideas. They're really searching for how to make their companies better. The companies I work for are very small. And in this circle, we have to evolve. Now, my background is in primary education. I've never done well with first grade, but I've done exceptionally well with kindergarten. Who understands that? I like kindergarten a lot. Had I not have broken my hip, I would probably still be trying to teach in the public school during the daytime in a kindergarten class, because I like to play games, I like to sing songs, I like to dance, I like to put on costumes. I really like to do the classroom style teaching that was so much fun. I have a lot of primary education. The kids start to develop their identities, and my favorite grades to teach, I really enjoyed kindergarten, third, and fourth grade. Those are my three favorite grades. But I knew for me, I didn't care for junior high, and I really did not like high school. I've taught all these areas in various different countries during my travels. I did enjoy teaching university level classes. Which brings me to my point. What is your comfort zone? Now, when I was talking with Cora today and with Alice the other day, something happened that made me realize this age thing came up. Schools were wanting a younger teacher. Students wanted a younger teacher. They say the students, but students don't really have a choice, who their teachers are. I got to thinking about it. I am consistent. I like stability at my age. I do. I probably don't expand my style very much because we tend to get in a routine. And this is something today when Cora and I were talking, that bringing in the young where they're experimenting with new styles and new things. I don't agree with the dog and pony show because I think it takes away from education. I do think there has to be a nice mix between what we call TPR entertainment, and education. And I think the education really needs to be up there at 60%. And out of that 40%, I think a person should be able to mix the 40% with the TPR as, say, 15% of that, and the other, 25%, and the other 15% entertainment. Now that's just the way I think about it. Keep the kids engaged, keep them enjoying the lesson, but focus on the education. Where the conflicts come in here recently is I feel like there's way too much entertainment to keep the money rolling, keep the kids laughing, give the Chinese co-teachers a little rest break, you know. And the ones who complain the most are the ones that don't get involved and help you. They're not acting like a co-teacher. The ones that give you the praise, the ones that enjoy working with you, they're in there helping you, and they're right there beside you. And I think this is important to look at. So again, I think we're in that cycle, and I think probably I'm at the top where I'm starting to come off. Maybe it is the younger teachers market in the younger grades, and I'm looking more at adult teachers now, where it's more relaxed, I feel, less stress, more communicating, more mature level, more life experience where we can relate. And while I will miss the children, and I'm always available to teach those classes, but I think that by doing this and reevaluating where we want to be at whatever particular time, it will avoid a lot of staff conflict or judgments on people's part. It really will. And maybe it will help a lot. I really hope we get to that VR thing. I think that's a plan. But anyway, this is Teacher Terry, just a general discussion, where we are in the industry, where the industry is headed. Hope to see you in the classroom.